Some time ago, during a conversation with a friend, she said, maybe out of frustration, that it's always been easy for me to give up. She said it doesn't even matter how much I enjoy doing something. The minute it stops going how I imagined, I tap out. Just like that. Hello everybody, peace be unto you. My name is Aziza, and today I choose to understand the problem so that the pattern can be broken. Welcome back to I Want My Dream Life Now, the podcast relating my raw, unfiltered journey as a 26-year-old Nigerian girl building from scratch. This is the second episode, Grandiosity. I remember that particular conversation because I went completely blank. I had nothing to say. Not because it hurt, but because no one had ever said that to me before. Not that I'm scary or anything, but I guess it shocked me a bit because I've always known how to sell my dreams, sell myself even to some extent. Looking back though, I realized it was never about giving up too easily. It was about not being committed in the first place, and maybe something deeper, something I now think is grandiosity. We all form our own meaning the moment we hear that word. But here in this context, it is a mindset thing. A mindset that can either build you or break you, depending on how you handle it. Let me explain what I mean using something I read a while ago. It was an excerpt from a newsletter. It quoted Robert Greene from The Laws of Human Nature. It said, there are two types of grandiosity that Robert Greene talks about in The Laws of Human Nature: the fantastical grandiosity and the practical grandiosity. The fantastical grandiosity is the one that floats in the air. You dream big, talk big, and avoid feedback. You also do not respect authority. You blame others when things go wrong, and deep down, you're always trying to feed a fragile ego. While the practical one, on the other hand, is what you want to tap into. You still dream big, but you're rooted in reality. You build with discipline, patience, and the willingness to adjust. You listen, you grow, you take responsibility. That piece was an eye-opener, at least for me. You should give it a read. In my case, I think I'm in transitional, if such a thing exists. I've never fully been practical or fully fantastical. But for the sake of growth, because that's what we are doing, let's call it fantastical. Oh my God, I've always been a dreamer. That's with no question. I dream big, I talk even bigger. But unlike the classic fantastical grandiose, I do not avoid feedback. I chase after them like some sort of validation. I take responsibility, but to a fault, and I respect authority, maybe even fear it, to the point of losing my sense of self. Like I said in the first episode, I blame people, environment, circumstances, everything but me. And maybe that was me feeding a fragile ego after all. Now to a personal story, because this is my journey, remember? I had a friend, we shared similar goals. God, I'm talking about this, eh? Anyway, we were friends who shared similar dreams from senior secondary school through uni. Even after, we got into different schools, but we stayed close. And in our final year, COVID hit. And just like everyone else, we watched the internet explode. Everyone went viral. Almost everyone. So we spoke and decided to create something individually. A blog, a page, content, and just build who we want to be. She started a blog on WordPress, sent me our first post, and when it was my turn, I checked the site and got confused. I didn't understand the design. Still, I told her I'll make one just to save the name, and you'll surely have to put me through the next time we meet. And I did, except That was all. I created the domain and then left it alone. But my friend, she kept going, wrote more posts, managed social media accounts. She was doing it all, putting in the work. She would ask me what I was up to sometimes, and I always had a story or reason for not building. My environment isn't good enough, the walls aren't painted, my phone's camera, even though new, wasn't right. There just was always a story. Eventually, I got into smartphone photography, random nature shots, then my nieces and nephews, then the results of a recreated or developed recipe. I honed that skill. I did. No bad photos, or that's what everyone said, plus I believe them too. To the ones that made it out of my gallery. But the rest, many rest, lived quietly in my gallery. Years later, after NYSC, I came back home with what I thought was a solid plan, savings in hand, ideas in mind. But looking back, actually, what was I even thinking? The plan, it would have required a miracle. The miracle that didn't come because my phone broke down completely. The screen fell out of the case literally and smashed. And so the plan failed horribly, and I cried so much. I scared everyone in my house. But maybe if I weren't so fantastically grandiose, I would have stopped and realized my shortcomings here. But what can I do? I'm a dreamer naturally. I just couldn't stop. Still, the breakdown took me offline for 3 months. Not just offline, I was actually MIA everywhere. And when I came back, it was to no missed calls or texts or messages from the friend who I was certain would have tried. And I tried to continue to maintain the relationship, to continue chatting like nothing had happened, but it felt like we are not in that space anymore. Months passed, frictions piled. Later on, I quietly removed myself from my life. But before that, I noticed something. Every time that I saw our posts, I would not out loud, kidding, out loud. I felt like every time I saw a post, I felt like I was being forced to interact, forced to respond, and that scared me. So that was why I made that decision. But looking back now, I know what that feeling is. It was bitterness. From the hurt that I felt but didn't express or even acknowledge, from the belief that if I waited a bit longer, the perfect opportunity for my dream would manifest. From the lens of the loser who seemed to be stuck while the world progressed, and from almost resentment because for whatever reason I refuse to admit to being resentful on record. So almost resentment from watching my friend, ex now or not, get what I could have gotten, or at that moment what I deserved and somehow couldn't get. No matter how hard I tried, I didn't hate her, but I hated seeing someone do what we dreamed of, because I hadn't put in the work. I had the dream, yes, obviously, and the ideas, but no effort, no structure, just fantasies. And under the guise of feedback, I was just craving validation. I think all of this just made me realize or confirm something, that for sure it has always been fantastical grandiosity. And for that reason, because it was fantastical grandiosity, I wasn't prepared for the grand plan, the one that would have needed a miracle to walk, crashed quietly. The silence from the friend, the kind that says we are not in that space anymore. And then the person I almost became, or already became, quite frankly, the one who hated. But for the light in the dark, I now have a name for it. And it wasn't about laziness or being a quitter. It was grandiosity, the fantastical kind. But now I am back here in reality to build focus, commitment, persistence, structure, aware of the limitations, and adjusting strategies, starting with the blueprint. And with that, this is the end of today's episode. Thank you for tuning in once again. And if this resonated with you in any way, I would love to hear your thoughts, starting with what category of grandiosity you belong to. Or you can just sit with your own story, because either way you're not alone. For more pieces like this, episodes like this, and front row seats to the journey, please do not forget to follow, subscribe, comment, share, and all that good stuff at I Want My Dream Life Now on every socials. And until next time, peace be unto you. Salam. Mwah.